Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Do you have any experience with picky eaters? I do. No names called, but in my house I have to keep a running list of what people do and don't eat because it changes regularly, and I usually have at least one person who is not happy with dinner that day. I'm learning to adapt. We have a lot of meals that involve adding your own preference for ingredients like salads and rice bowls. All of them have to involve vegetables. Sorry, not sorry. And as a mom, I adapt and figure it out because while we want everyone fed, we also aren't making several meals at a time. Hey, this is Jen. You're listening to the Bible for Busy People, maybe while you're making dinner. And we've been talking this week about God's provision. So after breaking the Israelites free from the bondage of slavery, God offered provision for them in the desert in another way. He provided food. But there was some pickiness and some griping involved, as we'll see. We're reading today in Exodus chapter 16, starting in verse 1. It says, "The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, 'If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death.' Then the Lord said to Moses, 'I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days.' So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, 'In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us?' Moses also said, 'You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you the meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord.' Then Moses told Aaron, 'Say to the entire Israelite community, come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" Have we hit that point enough on the grumbling? While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, "I have heard the grumbling," there it is again, "of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God." That evening quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent." The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little. And when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Everyone had gathered just as much as they needed. The word manna comes from the Hebrew term manhu, which means, what is it? Also, the word man in Hebrew means ration or portion. The Enduring Word Commentary notes that starvation was likely not occurring at this moment in time. Rather, they were starting to run out of the provisions they had brought from Egypt, and they were anticipating starvation. I don't know for sure if this is the case or they were actually completely without food, but I do sense this. Despite all the wonders they had seen in Egypt, they didn't lose time in accepting defeat in the desert. As the commentary says, they went from singing to complaining very quickly. And you'll notice that it says grumbling several times throughout there, and it does seem to be unjustified. The commentary also points out that they had selective memory of their experience in Egypt. They apparently sat around pots of meat and ate all they wanted, which seems very unlikely for those in slavery. But God intervened. This seemed to be a way of testing their faith level, as well as an opportunity for God to show up in their distress. Also, Moses is fairly annoyed. As we've said, he calls out the Israelites grumbling more than once. In the Working Preacher blog, Juliana Clausens points out that God hears the complaints, sees the Israelites in need, and acts. She also points out the use of the word enough, saying this emphasis on being completely satisfied by God's provision of food has been responsible for the rabbis using an image of nursing to talk about the manna being as sufficient as a mother's milk is to her baby. Later, she adds, indeed, we are reminded in Exodus 16 that there is a close association between the gracious gift of the manna and the glory of God that appears as a sign of God's presence. in verse 10. It is in God's gracious blessings that we experience that God is with us. This reminds me of James 1:17. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. Where we spot good, even if only glimmers in the dark, God is there. There was just enough, exactly what they needed for the day, as we see in the next part. You can go back and read it, but Moses gives them some very specific instructions. Don't keep any of it until the morning. And when some people did, it became stinky and got maggots in it. Moses also says on the sixth day to go ahead and keep it for morning in preparation for the Sabbath. And some people go out to collect food on the Sabbath day, and there is none because God had told them to keep it. So God gave them specific commands and consequences around the food, and it meant intimate engagement in relationship with Him. These rules brought consciousness of God's presence too, an awareness of where the provision came from, a reliance on God, and a trust that He would continue to provide, and a daily renewal of gratitude for what was provided. It was a daily reminder of their need and how God sustained them. Their physical daily need to eat was aligned with meeting spiritual needs too, leading to an overall well-being. How can your physical practices be integrated with meeting spiritual needs as well? Prayer walks are an example for me. The movement combined with talking to God somehow makes it all sink in so much deeper. Clausen's also suggests that God's provision of enough meant there is enough to go around, not just for us. This story reminds us that we're not meant to hoard. In providing for us, God provides enough for all, and our hearts should mirror God's in this. Perhaps God gives you more than enough so that you can share with others. The Israelites would go on to make it to the promised land, but they refused to go in and take it. So God sent them back out to the desert for 40 years. Even still, Deuteronomy 8:2-5 tells us that God led them all the way in the wilderness for 40 years to humble and test them. He humbled you, causing you to hunger and then feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothes did not wear out, and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so the Lord disciplines you. God disciplines us to bring us nearer to Him, refining us to restore us to all that we were meant to be. As we go, He meets our needs, sometimes in ways that we never expected. What's an example of God meeting you with just enough? I'll let you think about that, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.